National Security Institute Executive Director Jamil Jaffer joins me live. All right, so we've got a big day at hand. How important is our partnership with France right now? Because we've got a lot to talk about here.
Well, obviously, a critical partnership between President Biden and President Macron, particularly on the issue of Ukraine. France has pressed the United States to do more. The U.S. obviously we're the leading supporter of Ukraine, both in terms of weaponry and money. But France continues to pressure, and there's been some tension in the relationship because at times President Biden, while he's tried to lean forward in Ukraine, has faced challenges on Capitol Hill to get that funding that he needs, just announcing in the last few days a $200+ million aid package for Ukraine. So we'll see how this goes, but a continuing strong relationship between the United States and France that will continue to move forward on a going forward basis, particularly with Ukraine and the Israel-Hamas war.
And I also want to ask your reaction to the breaking news this morning. I mean, this is a very dramatic thing that has taken place with these hostages. And as we move forward, looking at what this means, if you could weigh in on that as well.
Well, look, obviously a challenging situation, 250+ hostages back in October, 130 still remain in captivity. This is only the second time the Israelis have successfully retrieved hostages from Hamas captivity. There were a couple that were retrieved in February. Now these four, three of them 20-year-olds, a 40-year-old, all kidnapped from this Nova music festival. Obviously, that very disturbing video that we've all seen of Noah being taken hostage. But there remain Americans and other Israelis still hostage in Gaza. And so while the Israelis will continue to try to identify where they are and rescue them, at the end of the day, there's got to be some sort of a deal here where the hostages return. That will probably involve, unfortunately, prisoner swaps back to the Palestinians. And some amount of slowdown in the fighting. The Israelis have put an offer on the table through President Biden involving a temporary ceasefire. Hamas has yet to accept that. So we'll see what happens going forward. But it's worth noting, Hamas hasn't released hostages now in many months, and that's obviously deeply concerning. They see these hostages as their only real chit in this conflict.
Yeah, you know, as we take a look at what has happened this morning, I mean, this was such a welcome news. Obviously, we've been waiting to hear something like this. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen the posters with these faces here in New York on, the polls going up and down the street. So a lot of people have been paying very close attention to these hostages. And as you mentioned, the others, where there's still a long road ahead of us. What more can we look forward to maybe in this conversation today, hearing from Biden? I mean, we're all eyes and ears are going to be on what he has to say about this and all the rest of it.
Well, look, Laura, as President Biden is trying to steer something of a middle course, he's obviously been supporting our allies in Israel. At the same time, he's warned Israel about going into Rafah in an aggressive way. He's suggested that perhaps a ceasefire needs to take place. At the same time, I think it's very clear to everybody across the globe, whether on American university campuses or there back in Israel, that Prime Minister Netanyahu does not intend to end this conflict until Hamas is taken down and prevented from conducting further attacks. And every single last hostage, all 130 that remain, including the Americans, are back home in Israel or in the United States, as the case may be. And given that, I think the U.S. and our other allies in Europe have got to back that plan. The question just becomes then, how do you bring that to a successful completion as soon as possible and minimize civilian deaths?
Jamil, is there anything else that we should be looking out for in this speech today?
Well, look, I think obviously there are interesting questions about the regulation of AI. The Europeans have passed the European AI Act. France has changed its view somewhat since the days that it's developed now this Mistral AI capability. They've walked back their desire for regulation, not surprising. And so we'll see if there's any conversations about AI and that budding relationship between the U.S. and Europe on technological innovation. The U.S. has long been leading. France now trying to get in the game as well. What impact will these regulations have? That might be part of the conversation as well.
All right, Jamil, we've just gotten the 2-minute warning, so I want you to stay with me here until we see these two walk up to the podium, if you could. Let us know more about what you think, because, as we take a look at maybe Biden's travel schedule and where he has been lately, where he is expected to go in these next few days and months, we're going to be talking about the upcoming election. We're going to be talking about fundraising, but it goes beyond the relationship with France. We've got the international relationships are so important moving forward as we take a look at where we're going to be in November as we wait for the president to come up to the podium. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the other countries that we really need to focus on as Americans.
Well, one of the biggest things that's going to happen here in the next few months is the NATO summit here in D.C., major anniversary of the establishment of the North Atlantic Alliance between Europe and the United States. And that alliance is not just important for the fight in Ukraine, but this longer term conflict that we're seeing with what you might call the axis of upheaval, right? Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, all working together. You see it happen in Ukraine. You see it happening with Israel, Hamas. You see these countries increasingly coming together, and we've got to keep our alliances strong, whether that's the NATO alliance or the Quad in the Indo-Pacific with Japan, Australia, and the United States there. Those are really important relationships as well. And so in order to face down the very real threat that we face, the long-term threat from China, the immediate challenges with terrorism in the Middle East, and the war in Ukraine with Russia, these are not unrelated conflicts. And so it's really important, Laura, that Americans and our European allies keep our eye on the ball and build those relationships up, because separated we will fail. Together we can really fight back and push back against this axis of upheaval.
Okay, we are taking this live look. We want to bring you to Paris now. Jamil, Jaffer, if you could just stay with me for just a minute. We are watching